Hi, and welcome to this brief introduction into how to add products to your Shopify store. Now, if you haven't done so already, by all means, feel free to log into your Shopify store. And once you gain access to your dashboard, go to the left side navigation and you are going to see products. Go ahead and select that. Now, there are a couple different ways to actually add products to your online store. You want to go ahead and, by online store, I really mean this section down here, online store over here, where you'll have the access to view those products on your online store. Now, to go ahead and actually add the products, you have the option to do add product button right up here, which is basically you using it and starting from scratch. Another option you have, if you noticed over here, is to physically import products. If you're not necessarily sure as far as the intricacies, as far as how things need to be customized on the file that you upload for those products, by all means, reach out to technical support and they will help you with that. So that's option number 2. Now, option number 3, which is really the easiest, which is really just to select an existing product that you actually created and create a copy of that. And we're going to go ahead and do that so you can see what it looks like. So we're now into the screen that actually is the same kind of screen that you'd see if you clicked add product. And this is what it's going to look like. It's going to have all these little fields here that you have to key in and enter data in. And of course, it goes without saying that the status is going to be set as a default of draft. So when if you choose the route of using an existing product to create a copy of it, the only thing you have to do is literally just go right up here. There is a duplicate button, and go ahead and select that duplicate. And it's going to say you're creating a duplicate product from this. You're basically creating a product of that. What do you want to call it? So let's go ahead and create test number 1. Now, if you notice here, there's going to be certain little things that they're going to ask you. Do you want to copy over the images of that existing one to reuse the same images? You do have the option to do that. Inventory quantities, again, SKUs. Again, SKUs and inventory quantities are very unique to specific products. I don't recommend copying that, but if you want to use the same images, by all means, feel free to use images. We'll go ahead and say that we want to use the same images. Here, it's going to say how you want it to be as far as the copy. Bear in mind that anything set as active is essentially active and available. So you want to make sure that you keep it at the draft setting, play around with it, make sure it looks the way you want. And after you've filled in all that good stuff, all that data, then set it to active. So we're going to keep it as a draft. So go ahead and click duplicate product. And so now it's doing what it needs to do. It created a draft and we called it test number 1 product, or we called it test number 1. As you notice here, what it did copy over is the description. And this is what I meant by sometimes you can make your life easy. If there's a standard format that you have, whether it's bold, subheaders over here, anything bold, any type of style of fonts, that you just want to keep that format. You don't want to necessarily start from scratch because you're going to have to literally go in here and start from scratch and play around with the heights and the widths and all the things. Why not make your life easy and just literally copy some look and feel that you've already designed? And of course, you can always go in here and edit the description. So that way the actual format and the look and feel is already pre-designed for you. Even the spacing is already there. So that's up to you. Again, it really is about preference. If you notice over here at the top, you have the draft settings. You always have the option to set it to active. As you scroll on further down here, after you've entered in your title of what essentially is your product called, bear in mind that title of your product is going to appear in your website. So if you call it shirt number 1, when someone views that physical product on your store, it's going to be called shirt number 1. So if you do not want it called shirt number 1, by all means call it for the physical name that you want it to appear online. Now moving on further down, here comes the images. The reason I copied over the images is so you can already see the images already appear here. You do have the option to continue to add multiple images over here. You can even add from a URL if you notice over here. But if you want to add more images, by all means feel free to click the add button. If you notice here, there is a primary image that is the bigger one, and thereafter is going to be the images that are going to appear underneath it on the website. As I've often said, if you look at these 6 little gray dots over here, all you have to do is go ahead and move this around And it really is that simple. If you notice it here, it says media order saved, and literally this will now be the primary image. If you don't want it that way, just move it right back, and it is that simple where it's saved it now. This is the primary. So feel free to move your images around. If you do not want an image, click this box right here. It's going to say, do you want to delete it? We won't delete it, but if you wanted to delete it, by all means, feel free to do that there. Now moving on further down here, when we talk about variants, this is a good example. Variants is like the flavors of the month. You know, in clothing, obviously variants would be size, color, you know, material. Maybe if you have, if you're in a complete apparel store, you know, maybe you have certain items that are polyester, certain items that are fleece. Sizes obviously goes without saying: small, medium, large, extra large. Colors. As you build your variants, they are going to start to appear on your product page in your store, meaning that if this customer saw this hoodie and they like this hoodie, they'd say, okay, well, if you create it light gray, maybe you have a red. All you have to do is go ahead and actually edit. And if you notice here, it's going to say, what are all the various color options? Here we have light gray, and if we wanted to say, well, now we have a red, let's go ahead and add red. Maybe we have a blue hoodie. So fill in your colors right here. If you by chance made a mistake and you want to go ahead and delete it, you have the ability to delete it with the trash can. Now, if you have a specific order here, this is how it's going to appear on the actual store, meaning light gray is going to appear first, then it's red and blue. Maybe you want it alphabetical, so you want to order your colors the way you want it. And you don't want to necessarily edit the names, but you can go ahead and just move it. This will allow you the opportunity to sort your list alphabetically or however you so choose. Once you've actually completed it, however, click the done button. However it appears here is how it's going to appear on your website. Now I want to emphasize this with a humongous exclamation point. That when you view it on the website, although in theory, yes, you would want your customers to select the colors, blue, light gray, and red. You don't necessarily have to have that appear on the website. You do have the option to always design your website, your product page on your website, so it doesn't necessarily show the variants. Or maybe you just want one variant. Maybe you just want the colors to appear. And if you created a variant called material, maybe you don't want to necessarily show material on the actual product page, and that's okay. You don't necessarily have to do that. But let's say, for example, in this case, we have hoodies, and for whatever reason, we have various sizes. Okay, so you want to make sure that you actually physically add the specific, option down over here. So you want to go ahead and say that I want a variant, and I want to go ahead and select size. Now you want to go ahead and select size, and maybe you have extra small. But then you say, oh no, I want to go ahead and add medium and large. Just go ahead and click edit over here. And you can just do medium. Maybe just M for medium. And say actually a small, medium. And if you notice it keeps populating, say large. And let's do extra large. Once you're done here, click done. Okay. So that basically is it. If you want to add a variant, go ahead, and this variant's here. You want to go ahead and add another option under your variants. That is, go ahead and click add another option. And feel free to do that. Now here, you notice here it has materials. By all means, feel free to select that. Now I want to point this out. Let's just say material number 1, and let's just say A. If for whatever reason you do not like the label of materials, and maybe you want materials to be called fabric in your store, and that's how you want to manage your inventory, by all means, feel free to click this edit and call fabric and click done. So I want to emphasize again that if you start designing your store and you're saying, oh, look at that, I added a variant and it's now appearing on my store, you can in fact hide that variant from your product pages. Okay. So now moving on further down here, when we talk about these right here with these specific variants, here every time you added something up here, again a good example is blue, light gray, and red. If you notice, what it did is it created a brand new line item specific to that design. It might very well be that for whatever reason, you have a blue hoodie that's extra small, and we can actually get rid of fabric. Let's go ahead and delete that. We have a blue hoodie that's extra small, and this is actually a cheaper price. So in which case you can actually vary your size, your costs, or your sale price depending on what it is that you are specific to the variants. For like this example, maybe we say that the extra small hoodie that's blue is only $30, and maybe you only have 2 on hand, and in which case you want to go ahead and say 2 are available and 2 are on hand. So you can go ahead and do that. Same situation is here with small, medium, and large. It's going to take the color, it's going to take the size, and then it's going to ask you to fill in what is the amount of inventory you have. Now bear in mind that with Shopify stores, whatever you have on hand is going to be available for sale. So you want to make sure that you keep that in mind, that you keep your inventory active. Now, there is, to add on top of that, when it comes to your Shopify store and inventory, you have 2 ways to sell things. One is you can allow customers to purchase specific products from your store when you do not have anything on hand. And that is possible. You can actually physically set your store to say, continue selling this item no matter whether I have it in stock or out of stock. Option number 2 that you have, which is the more preferred and highly recommended way, is to sell only what you have on hand. So that way it allows you to honor those customer payments and ship those products in a timely manner. Now, option number 3, which is a third option, there is in fact a third option, if you want to establish things that are in pre-order. But if you want to establish things that are in pre-order to say, I can tell you what, I don't have it now, but I'm going to have it on, say, like a couple months from now. If you want to purchase it now, you can. You unfortunately have to add on an additional app to allow yourself the ability to do that through your store. And I'll cover that through a different section. So again, to recap, there are 3 different ways to sell items on Shopify. Number 1 is to only sell items that you have on hand. Option number 2, which you're going to have to set in the features here to say if you want to sell items that regardless of whether you have it in stock or out of stock. And then option number 3 is to either sell items that are in hand, on hand, and or on pre-order. So you do have the pre-order option also that is available to you. So you want to go ahead, and again, I emphasize that because it's important for you to keep that in mind, that if you decide through your various purchase items, you want to go ahead and establish different ways to go ahead and sell things, you can do that through these features, these screens right here. So now when you delve deeper into the items level here, again, it just allows you to come up with the screen here. You can enter in the price of the specific item. You can actually enter in the cost. If you want to start checking out your margins for your inventory, it will track that specific data for you on reports. If you have a SKU number specific to this specific item up here, the blue hoodie that's extra large, you can fill that in here. If you have a barcode or ISBN specific to like books or a UPC label, by all means feel free to key that in there. Now, if you want to go ahead and key in other customized information, you're going to have to read through the details as to what this data is to actually find out exactly what this means, custom informations, and talk to their support system and they'll help you understand the bells and whistles as far as this functionality. Now, for this situation, we have the cost of $10. We're selling it for $48. We see that there's a margin of 79%. We entered in our SKU and barcode. So we want to go ahead and save that. Specific to, again, the blue hoodie extra large. Now I want to point this out that obviously every time you create a variant, it's going to create additional line items. So it is a lot of data, but once it's established, it's going to make things a lot easy. Now, if you have a specific photo that you want to attach to this specific line item, again, if you see here, you do have the ability to do that as well. So feel free to do that. If you want to edit it, by all means, just go back into that edit button. And if you want to delete something, you do have the option to actually physically click that checkbox down there. And if you notice here, it came up with this little shaded gray of blue bulk edit with 3 buttons. You have the ability to say remove image, delete the variant, which is essentially the line item, and you want to go ahead, or you can edit the additional information or add an image. So again, how do you go ahead and delete something? You just select this. It's going to come up with this little box down here. Click that, and delete variant allow you the opportunity to remove that specific line item off the list. That pretty much sums it up there. Now purchase options, let's go ahead and do this. Select existing options and create new options. When I talked about pre-orders and actually setting up your store for pre-orders and purchasing an app, that app is outside of this screen. But if you notice here, if you have specific apps that allow additional features, you're going to be able to select them from the list. So right now we're going to go ahead and select existing option. If you notice here, the reason I mentioned that is with this specific store, we purchased an app called Pre-Order Now Pre-Sale, which is Cactus. And this was, again, an additional purchase that I take that back. It wasn't a purchase. It was an actual additional app that we added to the Shopify store. We didn't have to pay anything for this specific app. So it was an additional app that you added to the store that we need to assign if we want pre-orders at the product level. So as I said before, you can have the ability to say, okay, I want to sell items as a pre-order, but then you need to go into the app, and then you need to tell the app what are the items that qualify as a pre-order. And in which case it's going to say open up the app, and it's going to say, okay, you have the app opened up. Of course, in this case, let's see if it takes it. Okay. This is the app that was an add-on to the Shopify store for pre-orders. And you're going to have to, in this external app that's really somewhat attached to the Shopify store, literally go into this app and design through the app what is qualified as pre-order. So again, you have to tell the app what are the line items, what are the specific products that are qualified. Once you do that through this app, you are going to see the ability to then have those items appear on your store as a pre-order. I'm not sure if we necessarily have one set up yet as a pre-order. Let's see if we do. I think we have this one set up as a pre-order. Yeah. This one is set up as a pre-order. And this is what I meant about pre-order here. Right over here, if you have a specific item, you're allowing people to purchase this specific item in advance. You, of course, see that it gives a little time clock. You can set the time clock, and it's going to have the pre-order button. You give a notation as to when that specific item is available. And that gives you the opportunity to collect sales in advance before receiving this item. And just make sure that you honor whatever commitment you made for that specific. Now, I do want to point out for this specific app, there are multiple apps. And if you notice, that app had a timer, and then once the timer was off, the button went away. Obviously, we've got to make that timer to be a little bit longer than that. But I point out the fact that there are multiple apps that you can buy for pre-orders in actual Shopify. You can see through the Shopify App Store down over here, if you notice right over here on the left side, and we'll delve deeper in that into a different section. But you can see all the various vendors that they have that offer pre-order apps, demo them, see if they have the look and feel that you want. And if they do, then you can install them into your Shopify store in literally a couple minutes. But then you need to go to those apps through your Shopify store, customize the product specific in that external app, and then it'll automatically integrate into your store as well. I know that's a lot of information, but once you've done it once and once you've done it hands-on, it's going to be nice and simple and easy. Now, with that being said, to wrap up this specific page over here, I want to also point out this, that in this specific section over here, you have search engine listing. Now, with search engine listing, again, I emphasize this in many other sections. They're big about having you update the title and the meta description specific to the product. So that way you can start appearing on google.com and optimize your store. You want to make sure that whatever metadata description you use highly searchable keywords, and it's even going to give you an example of how you're going to appear on the search engines. Doesn't mean that you're going to always appear on the search engines, but it's going to show you at least what you would look like if in fact you did. So that pretty much is the screen in itself. It gives you, a lot of information over here. I do want to also point out before we wrap up this section, another little section I need to point out here is right at the right side over here. You're going to see that you have specific products that you can categorize your products for. In this example, this is apparel. This is a drop-down menu from Shopify. So Shopify is going to basically say, you've created a product in our Shopify store. What category does it really fall under? It'll give you the options to actually select from their list. This is a Shopify list, and select which product category really falls under. It gives, again, it's pre-designed by Shopify. You can't customize that. You do have the ability, of course, in another section to set up tax and then actually make this item taxable. You're going to do that in another section as to whether or not this qualifies as taxable. Again, this is why it's important for you to specify as accurate as possible as to what specific product category this falls under, to make sure that you're adhering to the tax rules that you've established in your store. Now moving on further down here, you have the ability to customize product type. In this case, anything this qualifies as a hoodie. So we're going to label this as a hoodie, so that way anytime we're researching product types of hoodies, this is going to appear under that product type. Vendor, of course, we just called Shuggy, which is the actual brand of this specific hoodie. Now with collections is a whole other section that we're going to talk about, but you have the ability to assign specific collections to your specific products, and you want to make sure you do that. So in this case, this is a hoodie that we said, okay, it's definitely a hoodie that we want to appear on the home page. We want, or at least the ability to show this product on the home page. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to show it on the home page. We want the ability to show it in our classic collection, because this is a hoodie that's in our classic collection. We also want to show it in the solid collection, which is translation that if someone was looking at all hoodies that are of solid color, we designed a collection called the Solid Collection to allow people to easily find, show me all the hoodies that are in solid. Now with tags, again, when you look at your website's going to have the ability for people to physically key in search keywords to research your site. Anything you enter in tags is going to make it more easy for customers to view products from your website. So you want to make sure that you use these tags consistent throughout this product line, meaning that if you're creating multiple hoodies in here, you consistently use the key tag hoodie. So that way when people are searching that specific hoodie via the keyword hoodie, they're going to show up, this specific product is going to show up when they're doing the search feature functionality on your actual website. So that pretty much wraps up this section. Up at the top here, again, you have the ability to preview. Preview is just going to show you what is this specific hoodie going to look like on your physical web store. And if you notice here, by clicking preview, you see a real-time effect as to what it's going to look like. Now, if you're wondering why the colors don't appear here, like the red and the blue that we established down over here, right over here, and even the size, once we click the save button, this is a picture of what your live store looks like now. So once you create that, you're going to be able to physically see that in that section there. So we want to go ahead and actually not save it, but we want to go ahead and just show you quickly, briefly over here. You have the ability, I know it's grayed out right now, but the ability to share this. When you share this, you're just going to be able to see like a link, a copy link of what the URL is. That'll allow you the opportunity to share that link with other individuals. More actions over here. Again, just read through them, create a checkout link, embed on a website, edit, boost search terms, edit product recommendations. If you're wondering what exactly these features do, like embed on a website, obviously what this is going to do is going to create code, and it's going to allow you to take that code and embed that code on a specific website. No different than as if you were embedding a video on your website. So again, just play around with this functionality if you so choose. Once you are ready to go ahead and adopt this specific test number 1 product, you just want to go ahead and click save, and we'll go ahead and do that right now so you can see what it looks like. and it's going to throw it right back into, oh, it says some variants aren't able to be updated. Let's go ahead and just see what the deal is here. See if it saved it. Yes, it did. Okay. So with that being said here, it shows it here that if we go back into it here, you're going to see that it's set as a draft. Now, as I said before, you can preview it on the online store if you so choose. Now, remember I said that when you click save versus over here, when you click save, it's going to show you the colors here. So if you notice here, now the colors appear automatically, and even the sizes, because we physically saved it. Now, if before in the draft version when we didn't save it, it didn't obviously show up on the website. Now it does. So with that being said, it's still in the draft version. Draft version means that although you can see what it would look like on the website, it's not physically in your store until you physically make it an active product. Once you make it active, it's going to appear in the physical selection if we were going into the homepage to allow people to search all our products, because it's officially active means that it's active for public sale and it's available to be purchased. So I emphasize that because I want to make sure that you understand that once you activate it, you've now said, okay, I have this amount in inventory in stock. Yes, in fact, make it active, available for sale. So make sure that those numbers are in fact correct. So that way you can actually honor all the sales that come through. So to make it active, you just want to select it. Right down over here, you're going to have a couple selections. If you want to do bulk editing, you can do that. But in this case, we want to set this specific item as active. Now, of course, it goes without saying that if you select a couple other options and you want to set active, you also have the ability to do that as well. In this case, we want to go ahead and set it active. You also have the option if, say, theoretically, you have a couple items as active and you want to make them as a draft, by all means, feel free to do that. Clicking on these three drop downs here, again, other bells and whistles that, again, when you click these three dots, comes up with the menu that allows you to take whatever you selected here and do various things, such as removing tags from them, removing collections from them, deleting the entire products that you've selected. By all means, if you want to do that, you can do that as well. But just be mindful of what you've selected before you accidentally delete something that you don't want. Again, I've often said that you can save templates. It's always good to save copies of templates. If for whatever reason you have you want a template of the product and you want to save it as a draft, you do have the ability to create a copy of it as a duplicate and just keep it as a draft setting. So right now we want to go ahead and make this draft as active. So let's go ahead and do that. Set as active. It's going to refresh it, and if you notice now, shirt number 1 is available in the store and it's available for sale. If you were to view it, it is going to be available for sale. And again, they can purchase it here. They can click the drop down and see the design there. You can see all that good stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead and get out of that. Now, if we wanted to go ahead and delete it, as I said before, you have the options to go ahead and click highlight it right over here. Click these three dots and literally click delete products and go ahead and click delete. It's going to, of course, ask you, are you sure you want to remove this product? Before you do, you want to say okay. And we've now officially deleted this product that we just added. So that is a lot of information, but a lot of good information on how to actually create products in your Shopify store, how to edit them as you so choose, even more importantly, how to set up various variants in the descriptions. And I look forward to seeing you into the next section.